BlogTalk Radio.
Hello everyone, this is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to another conversation about your Kundalini awakening experiences. And today I'm just going to move right into it. I'd like to welcome everybody in the chat room, everybody who is listening to us in the future people, everybody who is listening to us on their smartphone or their not-so-smartphone or their computer, anywhere in the world that you may be doing this. And I just want to say it's a great pleasure and a great honor to speak with you today. I'm going to move right into this. It's very important for people to realize that they have specific energetic space around them. You have that energetic egg. Everybody does. Everybody has an energetic egg, an energetic energy field that people call the aura. And the aura of a Kundalini awakened person has a very special signature upon it. That aura is all about the different experiences, the different karmas that are going on with that person, how a person begins to interact with the force of the Kundalini, how the Kundalini colors the aura, and what is attracted to the outside of the aura of the individual having the Kundalini. And so one thing that I really want to express to you right now is the importance of keeping sacred space within your body. Keep the sacred space. A lot of you come in to the Kundalini with embedded entities already there from the past, from your childhood perhaps, from the karma that you've had to balance. Sometimes when you balance the karma, the entity influence goes away. Sometimes it doesn't. And so some of us come into this with embedded entities, and those entities will serve as a point of correction towards sacred behaviors. And some of the entities, as I said before, will just leave. What you may interpret it as a obstruction or a blockage to you within your energetic anatomy can often be seen as a way of enforced correction. You see the blockage, you know what the blockage is about. Say the blockage is about surrender, or the blockage is about having a certain relationship in your life, or a certain job in your life, or a certain belief system in your life. And these opportunities may come to you as a form of blockage. So you want to work on a certain relationship, but you don't feel that your thought processes are getting you anywhere. And what this is a form of resistance that is cueing you about maintaining sacred space within your system. The more sacred space within your system that you maintain, the less power that blockage is going to have, and the more you do it, eventually that blockage is going to dissolve. It's going to go away. And you'll go on to the next level of work that needs to be done on your equation. Keeping sacred space is very, very important, especially from an inside-out perspective. You must do the work on the inside that you may be able to do the work that will also be coming at you from the outside at the same time. As within, so without. As above, so below. Those are the natural conditions that come when we're working within the Kundalini. And of course, as I've spoken about in other conversations, there are a lot of things that are exterior to the body that are trying to push its way through the aura. Before I go any further, it says, Mary Jean says, the sound is good now, but I missed something at the beginning. It was an ohm, my dear. And I'll be doing that at the end as well. Sound is good. Oh, good. Well, you guys are really sharp. I want to thank the people in the chat room, because I was about ready to just get totally lost in what I'm saying without checking on the sound. And so the sound is good then. Mary Jean, Cole, everybody is okay with the sound. Good. Vincent, Atlanta Seeker, appreciate all of your presence here, but I really want to make sure that the sound is good before I close my eyes and go into the stream of consciousness. And it looks like people are typing. All good. Thank you, Karen's Corner. Very good. Okay, here we go. Launching. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. within an exterior point of view, we have the entity phenomena, we have discarnate phenomena, we have alien phenomena, we have hungry ghost type phenomena that will constantly try to penetrate the energetic field to, in some way, affect an agenda upon your energetic systems. And so your correct behaviors within the line of the divine messages and the divine teachings being given to you from the Kundalini will determine how your correct behaviors enable you to sustain a high level of energetic current that doesn't allow specific types of interference to occur within you. The practices of forgiveness, of tolerance, of honesty, of unconditional love, of compassion, service towards other people. These are very, very, very strong energizers for the energetic anatomy, as we're calling the auric field. Some entities within you already are going to be attached to a specific chakra. So if you have a really, really, really hard time saying surrender to the Kundalini or surrendering to your teacher, you may want to look at the third chakra and that level of interference that can come with an exalted sense of self, or a sense of self that is so fragile that the entity there will try to do anything it can do to keep you from surrendering yourself to the Kundalini or to a teacher that the Kundalini has assigned you. So you may want to have a look at that. Everything is geared towards testing you, towards giving you an opportunity to be clean of corruptive emotions, corruptive actions, corruptive thoughts. Anything that offers corruption into your equation, your Kundalini is going to guide you away from, even if it sometimes feels like it's guiding you into that. It just means that your level of information is incomplete. We can't know it all at once. Sometimes we have to have that spinal sweep, and all of us must have the activation sequence that is building us through refinement into the spinal sweep. Okay, this is very, very important, because you can't just think, oh, well, gosh, all I have to do is have the spinal sweep and everything's going to be good. Because if you just have the spinal sweep, then you haven't had the refinement process that has built you towards that spinal sweep. And this is really the crux of the teachings that are given through me for you within your Kundalini awakening experience, is that refinement process, that process of giving yourself into this equation, releasing yourself from the bondage of emotional control, bondage of ego control, bondage of societal control, all which manifests within the ego. This is that freedom from those control vectors that can slow you down and provide blockages that don't need to occur for you. It's not a sin to have a problem with surrender. It's not sin really means off the mark or off target. It doesn't mean that you're evil or bad or anything like that. People don't really understand what the term sin is. But you're not making a mistake if you're having a hard time surrender, or if you're having a hard time self-correcting, or having your own levels of behavior moderation occur within you. It just means that you have more to go. We all have more to go while we are still in these physical bodies. And part of that more to go is to keep that sacred space within our auric field, within our energetic anatomy, strong. We need to keep that sacred space strong, and do not tie into the ego manifestations that happen all around us in the Western societies. Don't give in to that. Just as I say that, I'm being given a picture of Peruvian tribal societies, and the last time I was in Peru, how the West was infiltrating the Western society, and ideologies and wants and desires were inserting themselves into these tribal communities, where all of a sudden they want a big screen TV when they're living in a grass shack. They just got their first generator, and so they're having the wires strung from shack to shack, and just having their first experience with electricity and things of that nature. And I look at that and I kind of go, wow. So now all of a sudden they're going to be inundated with the commercialism and the lack of appreciation of the natural forces that the Western technological civilization represents so clearly. And here I am on this radio using our technology to kind of push you into a more tribal, a more jungle-oriented understanding of blending your energetic anatomy into the forces of grace and nature that the Kundalini provides. And so it's really kind of interesting to see them going our way and to feel us going their way. What an interesting world we live in. With surrender, it is a constant level of activation, a constant level of intention, a constant level of meditation, and a constant level of how do I was going to say surrender, of letting go of your preferences, letting go of your entitlements, letting go of your expectations of how life should be, or how you become comfortable with your life. And so if you've been having problems with embracing the surrender, start by letting go of some of those ideologies, some of those expectations, and some of those entitlements. Like, well, I feel like I'm entitled to have a shower every day. I feel like I'm entitled to be treated by my lover or by my friends or by perfect strangers in a very specific way. I don't think that I should have to forgive anybody for their intolerance of me. All of these types of scenarios, you can come in and you can begin to change yourself from the inside out. This is also part of creating sacred space within you. This talk is about that sacred space, that inner sanctum of sacred practice, of sacred thought, of constant behavioral moderation that allows you to constantly have your eye on the peak of the mountain, that snow-capped peak off in the distance that you're climbing. I'm getting a picture of Mount Shasta right now. I was climbing Mount Shasta in 1986, and I was going to have a little communication with the ETs that I suspected were there. And so, like a complete idiot, I didn't take a lot of water, and I took, freeze-dried food that have salt in them, and I was loaded down with about 60 pounds of camera gear, thinking that I was going to get, some pretty good photographic opportunities. And anyway, I'm walking up what is called the Heart Ridge of Mount Shasta, and that's on the southeast-facing slope of the mountain, and walking up there, and I can see the peak off in the distance, and I'm stepping over volcanic rock, and I look to my right, and I see these strong, long slopes of snow and ice, and I'm going, wow, I didn't bring any kind of a crampon to climb the glacier, and I look to the other side, and I see these long plains, miles of just volcanic rock stacked upon itself, and fairly, if you throw a rock down there, you see these little avalanches of rocks happening. And as I'm walking up the mountain, I almost step on an unexploded anti-tank missile that the Park Service has used for avalanche control, and it looked like it must have hit a tree, and the fins on that missile were bent, and so I knew it was a live anti-tank missile that was waiting for me to step on it and explode. So I thanked the graces within me at that time, and I thanked it for not allowing me to step on it. And I definitely looked around, and I marked it, and I took a picture of it, and I got real familiar with that area, so that on the way down, I could, when I finally got to the town, I could call the sheriffs, and they could come up and yellow tape it, and I either explode it where it sits or do whatever they were going to do with it. And I continued up the Heart Ridge, always with that mountain peak in my sight, always climbing up. And this is what we're doing. This is what we all do within the Kundalini. Even after 26 years, I'm still climbing that mountain. It seems the mountain seems to grow. It grows right in front of your eyes. And so you're constantly being, you're striven or you're striving to reach that peak. And to a certain degree, you'll never reach the peak while you're in the body, but you can get awfully close to it. You know, full divinity is not typically a human flesh experience. Semi-divinity is. And as you strive, you can have semi-divinity while having that physical body with you. You can have that. That is the goal of this Kundalini at this point right now in your life is to bring you into that self-divine expression, that semi-divine expression, the God-realized expression, the self-realized expression. I don't really like to use self-realized because self really refers to the ego, and so really, divine realized, I think, is probably the best way to go with it. But even as you're divinely realized, there's still work to do. There's still places to go. There's still inner chambers of divine, sacred self to explore, to expand, and to correct, and to help others with. You see, it's not all about you. At first it is. At first it's all about you. But there's still even a portion there that is about how you are with other people, how you give of yourself to other people, how you interact with other people. Are you an asshole? And if you are, why? And if you are, and you know why, then how can you self-correct your away from that? Okay. An asshole meaning, kind of a mean, inflexible type of individual, somebody that is always in a bad mood, or just cutting another person down, or someone inside of a strong level of corruption is how I'm phrasing that. And this kind of a person really needs to begin to focus on their sacred space, their sacred inner space. Part of that inner space is that inner dialogue, that dialogue that you have behind your eyes as you're living your life, going through your day, going through your night. What you're thinking of about yourself, what you're thinking of about other people, how you're talking about other people inside of your mind. Have you ever thought to control that? Have you ever thought to give a moment's presence to the way you communicate to yourself, from yourself, within yourself? Look at your levels of sarcasm for other people. Look at how that just slips into the conversation. And sarcasm really is about hurting another person or hurting yourself. And of course, if you do hurt another person, you're just piling it on for yourself too. Look at your levels of sarcasm. Look at your levels of having that quick one-liner. That ability to say in a sentence something that is very hurtful and very unfortunate for other people to hear, just because you have the power to do that. Is this a correct usage of power? And what does this say about the ascended or the higher levels of Siddhic skills or superpowers that the Kundalini will bring upon you? Are you demonstrating to the Kundalini that you're a responsible person with the use of power? By inflicting hurtful sarcasm on other people? Is this that demonstration? Is this what you want to represent? Is this honoring the sacred energy within yourself, that sacred environment within yourself? Is this an honoring of that? And have a look at that. Have a look at how you use your power right now. And I don't mean, it doesn't even have to be exalted powers. It just be the power of walking, the power of smiling, the different powers that we have within our 5-sense continuum. How are you using your intentions? How are you using the power that God has graced you with on this small level within the corporeal system right now? Are you making bombs with it? Are you making quick zingers that you could just, throw at another person just to ruin their day? Is that how you make your day better? Are you spreading corruption through your own bad mood into other people? What do you think is happening with your radiance as your radiance pushes out into a broader expression of itself upon this world and therefore into other people? What happens when you abuse your powers, the powers that you currently have, and you abuse those powers and it slams into other people, even unintended people by you? It slams into them. What are you doing? Are you showing the divine within you and the divine outside of you that you're indeed prepared to have greater levels of power? Do you not see this as something that is getting in the way of you having a full, activated, awakened Kundalini expression? Do you not see this? With every blockage and every intransigent thought and hurtful thought that you express for another person, it goes in a toroidal expression outside into your aura and into the environment, and even the plants get it. The plants, the microbes, the viruses, the fungi, the animals, the insects, the fish, the people, and those organisms of life that have not even yet been discovered by science. As yet, they all get it, and it attracts very, very specific levels of corruptive forces to you, encouraging you to do more. Oh, come on, Chrism. Yeah, it was a good zinger. Look at that. Look at that guy's face. He's totally hurt now. He's totally saddened. He's totally damaged by what you said. Good going. Do it again. Do it again. And again. And again. And again, until he's like a puddle of emotional distress laying on the floor as you kick him with your intentions. This is why it is so very, very important to keep the sacred space within you clear of corruptive elements. This is why it is so important for you to keep that sacred space and behaviorally correct yourself every time a source of sarcasm or a source of hurt or a source of anger or a source of these types of expressions come in to that body of expression and are wanting to push themselves out into another person or into a situation or into the environment. Think about you. Think about your sacred space. Think about the blending of all the chakras, not just the chakras along the spine at the top of the head, but all the 17 trillion spinal cords that you have in your body. And how once you decide to set sacred space in one of the bodies, that it will begin to be insinuated into all 17 trillion potential bodies. And I use the number 17 trillion because that's the guesstimated amount of cells that a human being has that makes up the human body. And because, as we know from science and genetics, that each cell has the capacity to grow itself into a complete human being. So that's 17 trillion potential human beings that your one body represents. 17 trillion activated by the Kundalini bodies within you. Forget about the voltage measurement, which is, 1 volt per cell. Forget about that. Look at the divine ramifications of having Kundalini come into a person in an activated state and begin to transform them from inside out with its own divine expression. Think about that. Think about the power that you have at your fingertips, at not your fingertips, but every patch of skin and hair and bone and blood within you. And look at that and realize how important it is to maintain strong levels of sacred space. A long time ago, when I was like 24, so that would be like 20,000 or so years ago. I was introduced to a level of teaching that really, really incorporated very, very, very strong levels of keeping the sacred space clean and pure. And I was so sensitive when I was 24 because I don't know if you know some of my history. I was every night since I was like 2 to the age of 13, I was transported to something like the Amazon jungle, or the Amazon jungle would be transferred into my room, and every night I would hear the howler monkeys and the macaws and the you know, the jaguars and the roars and all the sounds of the jungle that I have been to the Amazon and I've heard. Okay. And so this just scared me to death, scared me to pieces. And I had all these special skills that nobody else had, and I felt very alone and weird and frightened because I didn't understand what was happening to me. Nobody else seemed to have any of this stuff, I later found out. And so, you know, I prayed and prayed and prayed to whatever, to Jesus, because I was living, you know, the next door neighbor 5 houses down our street invited all the little kids over. She gave us a kind of like this little Sunday school thing and telling us that the streets were made of gold and all of this stuff. And so I went over there because she was giving us cookies as well. But I would pray to any of the God. I just prayed, like, make this stop, please. And finally, at the age of 13, it stopped. And even though I was still somewhat sensitive to entities and whatnot, like ghosts of departed humans, I was sensitive to that. I could hear that. I could feel them. All the rest of the Amazon thing stopped, and I was able to have, you know, really good night's sleep, and it corrected, you know, some of the elements of my sleep disorders and sleep behaviors began to self-correct at that time. Well, when I was 24, I had a very, very, very strong visitation from a discarnate, sat on the end of my bed and tried to blend itself into my head. And boom, all of the latent skills and experiences that I had came back, rushed back into my system, and once again I was back into that environment, and it was fairly difficult to have that occur. I refresh some of your memories with this because there's a level of sensitivity that is given, you know, when you have that type of thing. And I was sensitive when I was being introduced to this teaching, and this teaching was all about, at the beginning, it was about keeping entities from attaching to you. And the teacher of this school, this particular school, was you know, he had a very, very, very strong manifestation of semi-divinity within him, and you know, he had a big following. It's big. I'm hesitant to mention it because after he died, his whole system became kind of corrupted by people that didn't have the level of divinity that he had, and so his teachings really, really took a dive because the people that were teaching what he taught them were not teaching it within a level of grace and divine expression that he was. And so we'll just leave it at that. But you'd go into their classroom and you'd see a lot of people. It's almost like they were picking threads out of their face or the top of their head or their arm, and basically you could feel where the entities were tying into you, and you could literally manually remove that. And as you manually removed it, then, you know, they would try to tie in somewhere. And so there's a constant level of manual removal and a constant level of yawning. Y-A-W-N-I-N-G, yawning. And these yawnings were basically exhalations of energetic expression upon a person. So when you're removing entity lines of communication upon the body, as you remove a certain amount, well, you're going to have the compulsion to yawn, and this is what you'd see a lot of people doing. You'd see a lot of people laughing as well. And one of the main reasons was that, you know, entities, that's not the word, corruptive entities have a hard time tying in with someone who is in a high level of amusement. They have a hard time tying in with someone who is laughing, or who is in an active level of love and grace and happiness and joy. They have a hard time with that, and it makes it very, very difficult for them to invade your sacred space with that. And so it's very important, I think, for people to understand that the happier you are, the more loving you are, the more joyful you are, the less opportunity negative influence has to corrupt your process. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of that teaching right now as we move through the Kundalini. And it's the Kundalini people are the same way, except the Kundalini people, one of the differences between the Kundalini awakening person or activated person and the mundane person or the sleeping person is that the Kundalini person will have strong levels of karmic refinement that they must engage in. They will not have an opportunity to not engage in that karmic refinement. Some of those karmic refinements are going to be the eradication of bonded entities that are corruptive and that are embedded within them. Okay. Not all the time, though. Not all the time. The thing is that you want to remember is that a lot of those embedded entities, they have to be there, and they're allowed to be there by the Kundalini because they constantly teach you a level of self-correction. Okay, if you have a really bad entity in you, it's really corrupting you, and it's a dark shadow, and it's telling you to do these awful things to other people, well, you know to do the exact opposite. If you do the crucible of reversal, which means you basically use their negative energy in a positive way within yourself and in the outer environment, you begin to negate the influence that they have on you, and eventually they'll leave because you have purified yourself so much through the hatred and the anger and the hurt and the fear that they espouse that there is no more anger, hatred, hurt, or fear that you are espousing because you're using the crucible of reversal and you have gone through a level of purification of that inner sacred space. And they leave. Their job is done. You understand? Their job is done. Now, if anybody has a question about this or any other aspect of their Kundalini awakening experience, the guest call-in number is New York area code 347-934-0026. That's area code 347-934-0026. You call in, and Her Holiness, the Queen of Questionable Comforts, Santara, will answer the phone, and she'll talk with you, and she'll basically, want your iris imprint and your thumbprint and your driver's license number, your social security number, your insurance number, and all of the other numbers that make you a real person in our Western culture. And then she'll put you on hold, and I'll get to you as quickly as I can. So anybody that would like to call in, the number is 347-934-0026. And at this time, at this auspicious moment in this program, I would like to introduce Her Holiness, the Celtic Queen of Questionable Comforts, Santara Kundalini. Yay!
Hi, Chrism. Hi, hello. Shall I give out the
What are you speaking into? Is this your iPad? Your cracked? Is it your cracked iPad? What is it?
No, what are you hearing? It's not. It's my phone.
Ah, okay. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Give out the information if you wish.
Okay, I'll do it quickly. Is the sound bad?
It's discernible.
Are you hearing? Okay. It's www.ascension-kundalini.blogspot.com, and that's where you can go if you would like to make a donation to support the work that Chrism does. We have a few others as well. I'll give you one more, which is easy to remember. It's www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com, and there's also a donate button on that blog. So please, if you're in a position to make a donation and you would like to, there are two places that you can go to. If you'd like to make a donation some other way through a bank draft or wire or what's that other one you can do? You go to the post office. Anyway, you can come and contact me on kundalinimatters@gmail.com, and we can talk about other ways to do it. But I'll just give you that address again. It's www.chrism-kundalini.blogspot.com. That's it, Chrism.
You do very well. It's like I have a hard time remembering that. It's that .blogspot.com. That's what makes it hard for me. So what experiences have you had, Centaur, in regards to keeping your sacred space pure?
Absolutely none, because I'm perfect.
Joke. Continue.
Okay, your funny bone isn't working today. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's something that I've been working on since forever, since I was born, but particularly since the Kundalini awakened. I mean, the sacred space is very important, and one of the things that really, you know, when you were talking there about, you know, my interactions with other people, that really hits home, because that is one of the, not the last, but one of the things that I have had to particularly work on, you know. Like particularly, I suppose, if somebody says something or hurts me, the automatic egoic response is to want to defend the hurt, and sometimes to defend it with hurting back, or defend some injustice or unfairness that I feel has been done to me. And I would have, you know, that ability you spoke about, the sarcasm or the ability to verbally, you know, hit back. And really, it's horrible. And I've been aware that that is something that I have been, you know, changing and self-correcting for a while. And it's good to hear you speak about it again. Yeah, because those are the very times that, you know, when you respond, let me talk about myself, when I respond in that manner, I'm opening myself up for more corruption, really, to go further with it. It's like, it's just such an important thing to self-correct on. And so, I think you mentioned, did you mention it like being a tidal wave of, you know, sometimes when I get into that place, or when I got into that place, it would just, you know, blossom or expand. And so, yeah, I mean, in terms of, you can't have a sacred space around you. I mean, you can be doing other things, you can still be doing a practice, but how authentic is that? If I am, on the other hand, not being, you know, being that way with people. And I think that's crucial, because it really is how we are with other people, and that defines, I was going to say who we are, but defines what, you know, how we are within a Kundalini context, within that aspect of, you know, semi-divinity. You know, we can really fool ourselves. I know that I certainly have at times, because I'm doing A, B, and C well. But this particular aspect that you particularly spoke of, that's something that really, I think, I need to be constantly aware of. Yeah, that's it really, Chrism, I think.
No, that's great. And, you know, and so a lot of the people are questioning right now, well, gosh, you know, what are the techniques I can use to create a sacred space, or an honoring and a nutritious attitude and behavioral expression that will really help the sacred space grow. And one of the basic elements of growing sacred space is meditation. You don't hear me talk a lot about meditation on these blog talks, because in many ways, the Kundalini will push meditation on a person without me having to tell you to do it. But right now, on this show, I'm going to tell you to do it. Meditation is very, very important. Meditation, and this is a direct download from the Kundalini in just these past few moments. Meditation is a way of forming sacred space within each cell. Each cell of the body experiences you having meditation. And I'm getting real clarification on this right now as I have my eyes closed and I'm doing the what we call a download, a Kundalini download. As you do your meditation, each cell has that experience. Each of those people within you, those 17 trillion potential people within you, have the experience, the positivity that comes from that meditation. And you can keep yourself from having very, very specific hurtful diseases such as cancer, such as any kind of the autoimmune system diseases, any kind of a blood disease or a bone disease or any of the diseases that affect the person from an outside in or an inside out vector. As you meditate and you create sacred space within yourself, you can begin to correct any of the deficiencies that, say, a cancer cell might have. A cancer cell is a normal cell that has been corrupted and changed through a process of energetic defilement. And that's how cancers are allowed to grow. And as we express ourselves in hurtful, sarcastic ways, or angry ways, or ways of hurtful self-ideology, we grow those cancers. And as we grow those cancers will begin to demand a certain level of continuous internal pollution that allows those cancers to grow and grow and grow, and eventually they kill us. You don't have to go that way. You can go into a deep, deep meditation every day. I recommend about an hour a day. If you were my personal students, if you were my private students, I would have you do 2 hours every day. One before you go to bed, one after you get up, and certainly within the practices that you have during your day. That's in a perfect world, and we're not all on the same page within our Kundalini teaching, certainly not with any of my private students. They're all different. They're in all different pages of their own particular Kundalini awakened or activated scenario. But I will suggest to all of you and all of them that 2 hours a day, not 5, not 6, but 2 hours a day of just silent, still meditation can work a wondrous, miraculous quality of refinement upon the inner space of the individual, that sacred inner space. And you get to know yourself this way. You get to know the cells. You get to know where the problems are. You get to know where the blockages are and why they're there. You can even see the entities that are embedded and trying to affect a certain agenda upon you. From an energetic standpoint, you can even see them, and you may not be able to dislodge them because some of them are there by virtue of the Kundalini, allowed to be in place by the Kundalini to keep you having distinct opportunities to self-correct. But some of them, like say an ancestor or a dearly departed family member, somebody like that, they don't need to be there. They can just go. They can go with God, go with grace, and you can help relieve any fear that they might have by glomming onto you as a bright light when they were floating around watching people at their funeral or things of that nature. So there are many of the entities that you can dislodge as you go into yourself and as you begin to merge with your divine radiance. Remember, meditation is a form of merging with that divine radiance. Divine radiance is with you all the time, and so when you go into meditation and you go into that sacred space, you are basically bathing in radiance. Radiance bathing, we'll just call it that. Okay? Radiance bathing. And Karen's Corner on the Flash Chat group, she says, so meditation energetically aligns all of your cells to your sacred space. No. It does not align all of your cells. It is not. It's not a cure-all or a fix-all. Some of your cells are in a very specific position due to your karma and due to where your focus and intention of life actually is. But meditation can energetically help yourselves come into the specific alignment that your karma and their karma demand for your sacred space. And so that's a very good question, Karen's Corner. Thank you. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, it's not going to fix everything, but it can go a long ways towards bringing specific influences into a certain balance within you. Meditation is crucial. And I'm talking about stillness meditation. I'm not talking about a walking meditation or a driving meditation or a jet skiing meditation or a skydiving meditation. I'm talking about a stillness meditation, a meditation that brings you silently and strongly into your inner sacred spaces, into that bathing in your own Kundalini radiance, the Kundalini radiance in the activated state that is driving you to self-correct, driving you to practice, to do your practice. You should feel incomplete in your day if you have not done your practice. By the practice, I mean the safety protocols, the 5 Tibetans, the tongue up, the finger lock, the eyes up, the chin slightly down as you're doing your meditation. Okay? And then any of the locks that come into place, the bandhas, these are locks that are kind of like elongated kriyas that lock your body in a certain way, in a certain position for a certain amount of time as you do your meditations, and that will affect your breathing and how you breathe, and whether it's rapid, whether it's shallow, whether it's deep, whether it's slow. Your Kundalini during meditation is a time when your Kundalini can really come in without you as the ego person fighting it or resisting it or in some way trying to devalue or invalidate it within your system. And so it's very, very, very positive. Do the meditation, my friends. These meditations are a very, very succinct way of nourishing that inner sacred environment, which is what we're talking about today. Meditation, it can do all the great things that we know, like lower the blood pressure, lower the heart rate. You can begin to do forgiveness meditations where you just focus on forgiving people that have harmed you and forgiving yourself and if you had harmed them in response, or compassionate meditations where you just feel love for everything that is suffering pain, but only as far as your Kundalini will let you. I remember I had one friend of mine who passed, and this could have been one of the reasons why he passed. He was a very, very psychic individual. His name was Tony Hernandez, a dear friend of mine from high school. And he felt the world being, inflicted with such disarray and such imbalance that every night he would go into a meditation where he would run the world's hurt and dysfunctionality and corruption through his what he felt was the purity of his heart. Ouch. He would run that through his soul, through his heart, every day as a kind of a meditation. It's kind of giving a healing to the world. And this did not end well for him. Did not end well at all. What he was taking out of the picture was karma. What he was taking out of the picture was that people have to have their bad times as well as their good times. Okay, this was not a healthy thing to do. And after he passed, I read some of his poetry and I was going, oh, geez, Tony, it was rough. It was rough, but obviously something that he needed to learn about. So you can have your bad times and still go into a meditative state. You can metabolize that bad time. You can look to see why it's bad for you. You can feel whether it's a karmic issue. And if it's a karmic issue, you can feel the levels of balance that you need to do in order to restore that inequality within you. Meditation is really, really the first the first gate into purification and nourishment of your inner sacred areas. Now, if you have any questions about this, you can call 347-934-0026. You can ask your question with that. And I'm going to bring Her Holiness, Eileen Lauro, online. Eileen, quick, run to the computer. Come on. Oh, okay. I think you're there now. Hi, Eileen.
Hi, Chrism. I am at the computer. What do you need?
How's that beautiful view of Florida from your window?
Oh, just
is it great?
Gorgeous. The river is very, somewhat placid tonight, and really nice color. And
no dolphins. No dolphins swimming in the ocean right below you. Yeah.
No critters. No critters. A lot of birds, but no other critters.
Because I would like you to give the announcements for the Minnesota scenarios, and perhaps for some of the radio interviews that will be coming up.
Ooh, okay. Well, I wasn't ready for that, but I am at the computer. Let me pull up Rosemary's. There will be an expo in Minnesota, the Twin Cities, November 7th and 8th, and Chrism and Rosemary will be there. And as soon as I pull up sometimes it's hard to find the information. Could you possibly get back with me so I can pull it up for them?
Wonderful. No problem, my dear. No problem. Go ahead and put you in the blue here.
Okay. Thank you.
Oops. Sorry about that, Santara. So as you reflect these strong meditative expressions, it begins to also change your external energetic expression. It begins to change through the virtue of radiance. It begins to manifest in the people around you. It begins to manifest in the creation around you, the insects, the fleas, the mites we have about 350 different species of mite within the human scalp, and all those little mites will get, they'll become, balanced in their energetic equation, and everything will start to work for you rather than against you, or rather, than joining in a corruptive influence that may be embedded within your body or coming at you from your own tormented mental perspective within you. And so, as you do the meditation, you begin to untorment yourself. You begin to untie those knots of corruption that are hurting you, that are causing you pain. And one of the things that I really want to say as we're talking about meditation is that when you drink alcohol, I don't care if it's a glass of Chardonnay or a shot of tequila, which I know is Santara's favorite. When it's that way, for people, it's a joke about Santara. She doesn't do anything but massive quantities of wine. So when you have the Chardonnay glass, I have to give you an opportunity to respond to that, Santara. I think she hung up on me. Oh my God.
I'm doing the I am not amused.
What's that? What? Oh, you're not amused. I see.
I'm doing the I am not amused response. I don't do wine at all. I did though. But not so much in recent years. I know. I will never be allowed.
It's been a few years. It's been a few years. I get that. I like to kid you about it every now and again.
I know you do.
All right, back
in
the blue with you, my
you're
dear.
saying that.
Back in the blue. It's hard to hear you on your phone. Something's not right with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put you into Mr. Shiva here. There we are. Sorry about that. I know I cut you off, but I couldn't tell when you were going to speak. Stop drinking the alcohol, folks. Stop drinking the coffee if you're within, say, the first 5 to 8 years of your activation or awakening. Stop it. You never want to drink the alcohol again. The caffeine you can probably partake of later on as your kidneys and your adrenals adjust to the changes the Kundalini is giving to them. But the alcohol should never, ever be used again. It really erodes the emotional control that a person has. And you'll have far, far more really hard and harsh Kundalini explosions of emotional distress the more alcohol that you drink. And so really do your best not to have alcohol anymore. Okay? Take alcohol like Chardonnay or Cabernet or what do they call that kind? Gewürztraminer or any of them. Take the beer, take the lager, take the Bud, take the Coors, take the Heineken, take the, what do they call it in Ireland? Take the pints out of your system. And I know for a lot of you that are engaged, it's just like to have that social drink every now and again after work. Oh my gosh, you go to the local watering hole, whatever that is, the local bar, and you sit down with your friends and you go and you talk about work, or you talk about life, or you just sit down and relax and let that buzz work its way into your system, and of course all the entities that are collecting there in that bar also get to work their way into your system. But you don't know that because you have the buzz so strong that you don't feel the entity incursion. But you get it later on when you're trying to have a nice emotional dialogue with your spouse, or when you're trying to focus on something that requires, deep concentration, and you have the Kundalini all at the same time. And keep the alcohol out of that, my friends. It will not help you with your inner sacred environment. It will not help you with your meditation. And in fact, it's a very, very strong corruption into those processes. So take that out of your equation completely. And I know you're going to have all your friends. You're going to have to maybe change some of your friends. Maybe if you have to go to the bar, then have water with a lemon in it. And it looks like vodka or something like that. And you can get away with that, I guess. But you don't have to drink the alcohol, even if you're at a restaurant or a bar. You can have orange juice on ice. You can have cranberry juice. You can have you don't have to have alcohol. So just know this, and I just want you to know this, and I want you to really understand this. Understand that. You don't have to have marijuana either. You don't have to have marijuana and go, oh, well, I'm using the sacred herb because, it's like, it's like my spiritual experience that I like to use sacred herb for, and I just I only use it when I'm praying and when I'm, being spiritual, and it's what I like. You don't do that with the Kundalini. You don't do that. And I know the Rastafarians, that's how they do their religious, ceremonies, and the people in India that call it Bhang, B-H-A-N-G, they're also, trying to use it as an expression of their religion, and that's fine. That's fine. But with Kundalini, it ruins your focus. Yeah, sure. For the time being, you can get into a sharp focus. It's like that other drug that they use in Africa a lot. It's called KHAT, CAT. And CAT, it'll really give you a very, very strong level of focus. It's kind of like their, natural methamphetamine. And, you get a real strong level of focus, but you also get a real strong level of addiction to that. And so you want to keep yourself away from that. You want to keep yourself away from any exogenous, meaning outside of yourself, any exogenous force that is going to give you a shortcut into doing what you just need to do yourself with your own intention and self-discipline. And I'm talking about meditation here. I'm talking about meditation. And I want you to meditate as much as you can. At least do those 2 hours if you can. Now, I know 2 hours is pushing it. I know I'm asking for the world. You got an 18-month-old kid running around the house. Oh, good luck with 2 hours of meditation. You have to choose your times. You have to choose your times, within that type of a scenario. And so I understand that I'm not asking a small thing of people. I'm not suggesting a small thing. It's not easy. And I'll be happy if you can just get an hour in a day. And some of you are going to have to split that up into 2 sessions of half an hour apiece. But you come out here to visit me at the ashram. I have folks flying in from Norway at the end of the month, and I have students here already, and as we begin to come together as a group at the ashram, we will be doing at least an hour of meditation at the ashram every single day, or wherever it is we end up going. We'll pull the car over. We'll do that meditation. It's very, very. It's a strong action of refinement within your system. It can really, really save your life when it comes to your health. And of course, we're balancing that out with, having a good active lifestyle. You're not sitting on a couch watching TV, or, you're not so lazy that you're laying on your couch or on your floor manipulating the mouse of your computer with your tongue, not because you need to, but just because you're just so damn lazy you don't want to lift a finger, but you don't mind lifting your tongue. Not talking about that. I'm talking about going out and walking the dog like I was doing before I damaged my knee, and walking, riding a bicycle, or getting out and doing things. I mean, it's good if you have a pet. Like a dog is great, because if you could train that dog to fetch, well, not only do they get the exercise, but you get the exercise too. You walk them once or twice a day, and you're really, it's very, very helpful for your health as well. Now, I have to figure out something. I have to go in and start doing some healing on my knees so that I can get out and walk the wolf some more, because she needs it, and I want to give it to her. And we'll be working on that. I think maybe different kind of shoes as well. Look to what your shoes are telling you. Look to what your knees, your joints, your hips, your spine is telling you with regards to the shoes you're wearing. Now, I got these Dr. Scholl's sandals for $20 at the Big Five Sports here in the United States. And I went all through Europe. I went through Ireland and England and France and Switzerland and the Alsace region of France, and they held up pretty well, and my knees were okay, and so I'll suggest that for anybody that's got a knee issue. But do pay attention to what your body is telling you. Do pay attention to your diet. Here's something that happened. It amazes me. My Shakti told me go in to the health food store and buy up all these vegetables. So I buy all these vegetables. I got Bulgarian onions, for crying out loud. I got carrots and lettuce, organic baby lettuce, and celery, and all of these things. And she had me put them in the fridge, and she won't let me partake of them. I'm literally watching them rot in the refrigerator, and I'm going to probably throw them out as soon as I'm done when I go back today, or give them to a horse. What is that telling you? Anybody in the chat room? What's going on with that? What's going on with that? And I'll wait before I give that answer, because it's important. I want to see if people are able to type in their response. Or if you feel like calling in, you can call in at 347-934-0026. Write that down if you want to call in a future show. If you're listening in on the archives right now and you want to call in on a future show, write down 347-934-0026. And in a future show, you can call in. So because I see Mary Jean is typing. I see all these thought balloons above Atlantis Seeker and Heli Heinonen and Vincent and Cole. It's like, wow, what does that mean? She had him buy all those veggies and all those things, and sitting there rotting in his refrigerator. She won't let him partake. What's going on with that? What is the teaching there? What is the teaching there? So I'm going to let you guys think about that for a little bit. Oh, here we go. Mary Jean says, surrender and trust. And Karen's Corner writes, I find I only eat what I need, what is available. And looks like she's writing a little bit more. Well, what came to me with that is if you don't push yourself to partake of these things, if you just depend on Kundalini instead of your own self-discipline, it's just going to rot. And you are going to rot. If you don't do what is good for you to do, you will rot. And she wants me to tell that to every single student that works with me or listens to this show. Okay. I've never been one for veggies. I mean, I used to drink a lot of smoothies, and you know, those were mostly with fruit, and they were iced, and they had nuts in them, and they're really good. But you know, the green veggies, the spinach and carrot juice, I really like, but I have to really, really, really push myself to do it. And you know, I'm going to go back home, and I'm going to salvage what I can. I'm going to put those carrots in. I'm going to get that organic carrot juice, and I'm going to go to town with it because it's so hot here that I'm going to use that as a hydrating fluid for myself. You have to do it, my friends. You have to do it. You don't sit there and go, okay, Kundalini, I got everything, now make me eat it. Like I did. Okay, all right. Coming back to Her Holiness Eileen. Miss Eileen.
Hello, Chrism.
Hey, did you find them?
Yes, I did. So I will start out with, during the month of October, Rosemary will be doing 3 different expos. I won't give the details because someone can always call her. I'll give that information in a bit. And then Minneapolis Holistic Expo is on November 7th and 8th, and Chrism and Rosemary will be there, booth number 38. And Chrism will speak at 3 p.m. on November 7th, which is a Saturday, at that particular expo. And then the seminar is the following weekend, November 14th and 15th, and it will be held at the Best Western Dakota Ridge Hotel in Eagan, Minnesota. And for further information, you can contact Rosemary G at usinternet.com. That's Rosemary G at usinternet.com. Her phone number is 651-329-9615. And the other thing that's happening is Rosemary is currently doing film screenings of the movie Kundalini, the month of September and the month of October. There are many of them set up, and if anyone's interested, contact Rosemary. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you very much. And clear and concise. I really appreciate it, my dear. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. And back to the Shiva with Her Holiness there. And coming over to the Queen of Questionable Comforts. Questionable Comforts. There she is. Hello, my dear.
Okay, I'm holding the phone now. Is that better?
That's much better. Thank you. Now, have you had time to collect any questions from our groups?
I have a few, Chrism. I had a lot more, but I had fierce drama before the program began, so I have a few. I had to write them down. My iPad has cut me out of anyway, it doesn't matter. So here goes the first question, and you've slightly referred to it. What do you think of Bandaz? That word. Can you pronounce it, please?
The what?
Bandaz.
Oh, the Bandaz.
Bandaz,
okay.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Bandaz. What's Bandaz? Are they beneficial or not?
Well, bandhas are, the Kundalini will automatically put a person into bandhas. Bandhas are locks, L-O-C-K-S. They are locks that, they're kind of like a kriya that the Kundalini pushes the body into and then holds it there for much longer than a kriya. One of the most common bandhas or locks is the tongue up behind the upper front teeth. That is a bandha lock. Another lock would be forefinger tip and the thumb tip put together with the other three spread out. That's another bandha. And that will also be, you'll just find yourself all of a sudden having that bandha lock, and the Kundalini is controlling that. Also, it will tilt your head slightly forward when you're doing meditation in order to stretch out the spine a little more. It can also bring the diaphragm up under the rib cage as a form of holding the dantian, or the second, third, and the second and third chakra in a position of alignment, in a position of control from the Kundalini itself. And so there's a whole series of these bandhas that the Kundalini can bring to a person, and it'll bring it to them all at once at the same time. The rectal lock, when the rectum or the PCB muscles are exerted and they're held continuously. All of the bandhas can be held continuously at the same time, and this is called the Maha Bandha. Maha meaning the great lock, or a series of locks that constitute the great lock. And so bandhas are actually, they're crucial elements to the Kundalini activation and awakening. And so, all of my students are practicing the eye lock, or with the eyes up, looking at the third eye, so to speak. And they're practicing the finger lock. They're practicing the tongue lock. Some of them are practicing the chin lock. Some of them are practicing the rectal lock. Some of them on their own, maybe guided by their own Kundalini to practice the Mahabandha. You only do that for a certain amount of time. And this is a way of focusing the Kundalini. The Kundalini itself will use these locks as a way of focusing itself as it penetrates deeper and deeper and deeper and transforms more aspects of the physical being into a form of expression that can embrace semi-divinity. So what I'm saying there is, I'm not saying that the Mahabandha or the Bandha themselves exert total transformation upon the person, not at all. But what they do is like they prepare the ground for that to occur through other means that the Kundalini will bring to the person. And so it's like fertilizing the soil before you plant the seed. The locks or the bandhas begin to bring Kundalini into the system in a way that the body knows to do. The body totally recognizes Kundalini. It understands it. It knows what to do. It knows that the fingertip and the thumb tip need to come together. It knows that the eyes need to go up. It knows that the tongue needs to go up behind the upper front teeth. It knows what to do. It's the ego that is so used to controlling the body that has no clue. No clue at all. It's the ego that is really, really, really kind of causing a disruption in the appreciation of what is occurring with the locks or the bandhas. And so the bandhas themselves are kind of an automatic expression that is triggered by the Kundalini in a human being that allows the Kundalini to bring itself in greater levels of fulfillment inside the cellular structure and the energetic anatomy of an individual. Okay, any of you can quote me on that. Okay, that's very, very basic. And it's a good question. Santara, thank you.
Next question. There was a video that you did some time back, I think it was in LA, and you mentioned in this about an organ at the back of the neck, and the question was on the group, and it asked you what was the name of that organ, and you said it was the hammer. And I wonder, would you just say a little bit about what the hammer is, its function, and why it's there? Is it physical? Hammer, is it energetic?
Sure. Thank you, my dear. The hammer is what I hit you with if you don't do the practice that I ask you to do.
True. This is true.
Granted, it's a rubber hammer, but I tell you what, I go to town. No. The hammer. That's any of my private students, they'll tell you. The hammer is indeed, it's an energetic organ. It's how should I say it? It is physical and energetic at the same time. The MDs won't know where it is. Oh, well, that's part of the lower occipital area where it connects to the spinal collar, and because individual folds of the brain don't have motor neurons, therefore they can't move. So it's bullshit. It is there, and a lot of the ancient understandings correlate with that presence of it. And what it does is it modulates the amount of energy that's coming in to the seventh chakra, or the top of the head and the brain. It modulates. You'll feel it. You'll feel it kind of like, it's a very rapid, almost like a drrrr, drrrr. You'll feel it adjusting. It's like a governor that adjusts the amount of energy that's coming in from the spine into the seventh chakra being such a fine instrument of grace. You'll notice that I very rarely mess with the seventh chakra at all. It's a fine instrument of grace, and the hammer is there to modulate that flow. So, for instance, if you're doing a lot of practices, say Reiki or Theta this or Enochian that, or some sort of system that is heavy on egoic control of energetic structures within the body, and they're saying, okay, now just send it right up the spine. The hammer is going to be going, okay, I'm waiting, and it's going to deaden it. It's going to block it to some degree so that it doesn't come in and hurt the seventh chakra or the crown chakra of the individual. Now, sometimes if there's a karmic lesson for that person to be learned, then indeed they will get to terrorize the crown chakra for a certain amount of time, and they will reap the energy for that. And you'll also know that when a person is smoking marijuana or drinking alcohol or taking any number of drugs, that the amount of energy that is put into the crown chakra will not often be modulated by the hammer. The hammer, that stuff opens up all the portals, and so it's way too much for the hammer, and so the hammer knows just not to turn on. Like methamphetamine, it's a great one, or heroin. The more that people do this, the more they burn a series of holes, or they place a series of scars, energetic scars, on the energetic envelope that is being emanated by the seventh chakra, the crown chakra, and this is where a lot of entities can come in and inhabit the channels of telepathy, the channels of transmediumship channels that are on either side of the fontanelle, and so these become polluted, and the individual starts seeing demons or ghosts or weird insects or things that are basically there to scare or to frighten. And a lot of like what delirium tremens is for the alcoholic, the methamphetamine or the heroin user will also have these types of things. And the hammer will not be activated because the person is making very, very specific choice to force, very strong amounts of energy through the crown chakra and bypassing the hammer in a way. And I know you're going to hear a lot of people, well, Chrism, the brain has natural receptors for cannabinoids and cannabinoids, and therefore it's been part of our genetic design for thousands of years now, and therefore, we should be able to eat as much marijuana, smoke as much marijuana, do whatever we want with marijuana, and forget about the hammer. Well, it's not so simple, because what is good for the mundane sleeping human being is not necessarily good for the activating or awakening human being. Very, very, very two different types of human being. And the awakening or activating human being needs to allow that hammer to modulate pure energies, which is, which follows right into our discussion about sacred space. It allows the energy to, first of all, be pure, and second of all, to be modulated by that hammer that is at the back of the neck, where the skull connects to the neck. And so, that hammer plays a very, very crucial role. And if you start hearing it or feeling it beating against you, and you'll understand what's going on with that. It's not subtle. It's like, oh, I got to try to feel the hammer. It'll turn on automatically, and it'll start beating away, and you can feel it very, very, very clearly. Next question, Amelia. Thank you.
That was great, Chrism. Thank you. The next question is from the group again, and it's, what is your opinion on the Kabbalah code?
Kabbalah. Little bird, little Kabbalah. I don't understand what's happening today. Everything is all a blur. That's what it reminds me of. Kabbalah. That's from Fiddler on the Roof, everybody. Which is actually, it's a good answer, because Kabbalah is the whole Jewish mystical tradition of finding information about the Kunalini, and actually maybe even activating the Kundalini. But as three of their sacred personages found out, having the Kundalini and wanting the Kunalini are two very, very different things. One committed suicide, the other one renounced his religion, and only Rabbi Akita was able to have and hold the divine grace that Kundalini brings, that their Kabbalistic system brought him to. He did something called the Pardes meditation, and the Pardes meditation is a way of doing this very specific meditation that would help your Kundalini come up in no uncertain terms. They don't let that out so much. But yeah, Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic systems, I think, are one of the pathways that are available for people within, say, the cultures that recognize Judaism and that people might feel called to. It's a very, very, in many ways, it's a very, very long, drawn-out process. You got to follow the words of this person and the words of that person. You got to land on this Sephiroth and that Sephiroth, and go to this planet, go to that planet. And, it's kind of they're the ones that have that whole tree of life symbol, the Kabbalistic tree of life, and you'll see that it's comprised of 10 or 11 little circles that you have to reach. It's kind of like a game in a way. You roll the dice and you say a meditation and you go to the Sephiroth and you go, okay, I'm on this Sephiroth, and this certain position requires you to do a certain kind of meditation, certain kind of prayer, certain kind of understanding is given to you, and then you jump to the next one, and then that sphere of influence that has its own teaching and its own meditation. You go into this. A really good person, I think, to talk to about this is Elizabeth Dalton Gonzalez, who isn't here today. Anyway, she's gone through the whole Kabbalistic 9 yards, and she basically said, it's for a Kundalini person, it's a fairly easy thing to do if you're pre-activated and you come into the Kabbalistic system with Kundalini as an activation sequence. You just blow right through it, which means you don't really need to do it because you already have what it seeks to generate. It's like it's like a bird taking flying lessons. Okay. It's like a bird taking flying lessons. And so you don't really need to do that because, you kind of already have it. And let's see. I'm going to step back a little bit into the last question that I was talking about the crown. Vincent91 asked the question, what happens if the crown gets too much energy? Well, it depends, Vincent. If the energy is of the Kundalini and it's governed by the hammer and it comes in naturally, well, it just, there is no such thing as too much energy. Or you can just get a real massive headache. And so, sometimes I'll have a student that's doing a lot of devotion, a lot of giving, a lot of transformation, and they'll get like the hot knives going in the top of their head. And that's a good time for them to stop that level of practice that they're doing and really to maybe go into a different kind of practice that isn't as stimulative to the seventh chakra. And then Vincent also asked, Chrism, I think I have this crown problem. I have forgiven copious amounts of stuff. How quickly does the energetic envelope recover? Well, my friend, it is absolutely okay. Do not worry. The minute you stop doing that stuff is the minute the recoveries start to occur. You just need to stop pushing energy through the crown. Let your Kundalini control the energy that goes through the crown, not your ego. That's the main thing. That's the main thing, my friend. No worries. Yeah, you're hearing the entities talking. You just ignore them. You do not respond at all. They are like it's like a case of poison oak, a little case of poison oak, just a few of the blisters on your neck or something like that. And you'll scratch it and you'll go, oh shoot, I'm not supposed to scratch that. And you just kind of, pretty soon you train yourself to ignore it. You ignore them, you don't listen to them, and you'll be fine. And pretty soon those entities will just fade away because there's nothing for them to do. Nothing for them to do, and that's what you're going for. Okay, and so moving back into Kabbalah, if you're pre-activated or you're in the awakened state, Kabbalistic teachings won't help you that much, except perhaps in the refinement areas of refinement, areas where you're learning to reevaluate how you live your life, why you live your life, on what terms that you live your life. So, the Kabbalism or people that are studying, Enochian magic or any of the other systems of development, such as religion, certain levels of religion, certain levels of the Sufi teachings. These are all great, but the Sufis that spin around, the whirling dervishes, all they're doing is trying to get their Kundalini going. That's what they're doing. They figured out, like the Tibetans did, that if you spin to the right, your first chakra is going to activate certain kinds of energy. And as they continue to do that, then they okay, well, this is the way we're going to go with that, and there they go. If you're already pre-activated in the activated stage, so you're having, we're just going to put you in the blue there a little bit, Santero. I'll come right back to you. There we go. And if you're in the activated stage, you don't necessarily need to immerse yourself into these 50-year plans. And another level of 50-year plan would be yoga, using yoga as an activation sequence. Now, once again, if you're already activated or you're inside of the awakening, it's a bird taking flying lessons. And a really strong, like a swallow is an excellent flyer. It would be like a swallow going, wow, I wonder how to flap my wings. Let me think here. And it's like, well, I'm gonna roll in this swallow yoga course on how to fly. And boom, and then it takes 50 years, right, for the swallow to learn how to fly when it already knew how to fly. You got a lot of these yogas. They're called Kriya Yoga, which is Yogananda's form of yoga. And, a lot of that is dependent on another ego-infested individual to determine whether or not you are ready to move into the next area. And so, it's not just your ego that you're working on, it's their ego that they're working on too. And you just have to trust that their examination of your acceptability into the next level, is right on course. And, it isn't always that way because people are fallible and people are in different levels of their egoic training, and so they can make that mistake and then consign you to another 10 years, before you're allowed to even come into the Kundalini. And so I don't recommend these areas, except for those who need to be in strong levels of refinement, like prisoners or something like, people that are really, working through karma, working through these different levels of negative expression. And so I think it's very important that people understand that you don't need to go into Kriya Yoga, you don't need to do yoga, you don't need to do Kundalini Yoga. I'm getting a few beeps here. Is everybody hearing me okay? Cole, can you tell me? You don't need to do Kundalini Yoga. Kundalini Yoga, yes, it can do some very, very good things. It's not working that much on your ego. Looks like I'm not reaching people here. Let me go back here. Bring Satara back on. Oh, looks like Mary Jean is typing here. I just don't. Oh, okay. Thank you, Mary Jean. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, very good. Oh, I see Cole has logged out. Sometimes BlogTalk will log you in and log you out, folks. I'm sorry for that. So, yeah, just like the Kabbalah and Kriya Yoga and Kundalini Yoga and Tibetan Buddhism and any of the Buddhism, Theravada Buddhism, or any of the sacred mystical Christian type of teachings, they're all striving to awaken your Kundalini, which for most of you folks is already done. You've already done that. You're already in the activated process. Already there. So you don't necessarily need to do that. But I understand that people have the need for camaraderie. They want to know that other people are going through very similar, if not the same things that they're going through, so that they're not going into something that is so strange and so bizarre and so unheard of. They want company. They want the security of the flock. Oh, please, God, let me be a part of this flock if it's appropriate for me, right? And so what I'm saying is that this is your flock. Kundalini awakening, Kundalini activation is your flock. You do not need the Kabbalistic flock. It's okay, Cole. Thank you for responding. You don't need the Kabbalistic flock. It can help you for if you're not awakened, and even if you're in just a slight activation, it can help you find maybe your grounding, give you a kind of a brick and mortar type of opportunity to go to temple and go to the different areas that the Kabbalistic design would have you go to, go to this teacher and accept their instruction, and then as he moves you on to another teacher and accepting their instruction and landing on this Sephiroth and that planet and that conjunction and this and that, you can go through these things and that's fine. But not all of you will need to. All of you have the Kundalini, and when the Kundalini has you is really where the rubber meets the road, and you want to embrace that. You want to thank her for having you and take security from that, even though you don't have a large number of people around you that have the same thing. And I see Karen's Corner is typing, and while she's typing, Amelia Santara, would you please honor us with the next question?
Here it is. Does the energy level in the chakra burn out from overstimulation, or is it a physical gland in the body that can become depleted? Will I read it again?
Both can be true. I mean, that can happen, both ways. I mean, in many ways, one scenario will feed the other. If you're doing something that is burning out a gland, let's just say drinking coffee. You're having a lot of caffeine and you're early on in your Kundalini awakening scenario and you're feeling paranoid and you're amping up your system and the Kundalini's amping up your system and you have all this cardiovascular stimulation going on. You have the fight or flee hormone coming through you. It is definitely a recipe for adrenal burnout, which in turn will burn out a portion of the second chakra. Yes, indeed. So you want to be careful. You want to be observant of how you are, what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. It's very, very, very important that you don't burn out these areas. And you do things, if you have to do them in moderation, extreme moderation. Be very, very, very careful with how you begin to stimulate your glands. And from the glands, the chakras are basically energetic expressions of nerve plexi that happen along the spine. And so, the heart chakra will have a whole level of nerves that come to kind of like a crossing point along that part of the spine, and that is the energetic emanation that makes that chakra. And same thing with the Danchan, or the second chakra, first chakra, third chakra, fourth chakra, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So you want to be very, very, very careful about overstimulating yourself, whether it's through chakra breathing can overstimulate you, and like I said, drinking substances that can overstimulate a certain chakra. If you're doing amyl nitrate, you can overstimulate the heart chakra, very much so. Amyl nitrate is a cardiovascular stimulant. You don't want to do that. There are very many ways for a person to overstimulate certain areas. If you're taking testosterone injections or treatments, if you're a guy and say you're having the difficulty with an erection, and you're taking all these testosterone treatments, and the only reason you're having difficulty with an erection is because the Kundalini is taking that energy away. But you want that erection so bad that you're just going to go straight over to that naturopathist or that MD, and you can say, give me the purple pill, Viagra, I believe it is, Viagra, or give me testosterone, or give me some sort of a thing that allow me to have that erection the way I want to have it. Well, yeah, you can burn out that first and second chakra by doing that, and you can have a really, really, really difficult time ever having an erection again, or having the power modulation that comes from the second and first chakra, certainly with regards to maintaining an erection, but also in the areas of creativity, in the areas of energetic management, the areas of survival, and in the areas of grounding, in the many different areas. So it's very important that you don't overstimulate any of the organs, or allow your ego and the comforts of the ego to challenge what the Kunalini is doing if it takes energy out of a certain part of the body. And so it's very important. Now I'm going to step backwards again. I'm going to go to Karen's Corner here. And she is saying, with regards to the Kabbalah question, she is saying, is it strange that I do not feel the necessity to be a part of the flock? I find that when odd things happen to me, I know that I am not the only one, and it is okay and part of the process. It is not strange, Karen. I think that, or Karen's Corner, I understand that as well, but not everybody does. Not everybody gets that right off the bat. So they want, especially in the beginning stages, they want to be part of a flock. They want to be part of a set situation that allows them to have very, very factual information that doesn't make them guess about what is happening. They want solid, grounded information that everybody else is doing. They don't want to be different. They don't want to be alone. They want to eat the same grass that everybody's doing. They don't want to eat that other special grass because they don't quite know. It doesn't look like the grass that they're used to having, and so therefore they want to come into an area where the grass is the same as everybody else is eating, and everybody's on the same page, and we're all coming from an equal and fair position of energetic and informational dissemination. And so this is what a lot of people want to have. That you don't have that is not strange at all. It just means that you're a little more comfortable with what is occurring with you than they would be with what is occurring with them. And moving forward into Miss Santara, what's the next question, my dear?
The next question is, can a healing be given to a person's aura?
Can a healing be given to a person's aura? The aura is an expression of each of the chakras. So you'll have 7 layers typically to an aura. if a person is, let's say that a person has a damaged second chakra, right? So that person has a damaged second chakra. Say they've overamped their second chakra. Say they decided to take that Viagra or that testosterone, and they've kind of burned that one out, and they're suffering now from adrenal burnout. They're suffering from energetic burnout. They have chronic fatigue syndrome. They have endometriosis. They have a lot of different things going on with them right now that is tied directly into the second chakra. And yes, the Kundalini, if the karma is right, if the person doesn't need to learn that they don't want to take control of issues that are of the Kundalini and not of their ego, if they're willing to make the changes, then the Kundalini can and easily could come in there and begin a correction of that injury to the second chakra, which in turn would correct the injury to the second level of the auric field, and therefore, yes, the imbalance in the auric expression would be corrected. However, but so as we're looking at, like say, people that are addicted to alcohol or addicted to methamphetamine, addicted to heroin, those healings can occur, but the people have to stop doing the damage first. And that includes with the last example I gave, the person wanting to have that erection at all costs. They have to be willing to undo or to stop doing the damage that they're currently doing. And that is also with their thinking, how they are thinking. How are they thinking with regards to, oh my gosh, I want to have an erection so bad but I know that it's just going to make me feel so bad, but I still want that erection, but it gives me chronic fatigue syndrome, but I still want to have that thing. And so they still have to correct their thinking. They can't just stop the chemical incursion or the chemical damage. They got to stop the way they think. They've got to change their behaviors as well as stop using the substance that they're using that is causing the damage. Thank you, Santara. Is there another question?
Okay. Yes, there's one more question. When a person has what could be described as violent kriyas, this was from one of the groups, is that a sign that they are not exercising? Is that a sign that they are, not putting their energy to good use? Or are such violent, are they normal in the process?
No, it's not a sign of a lack of exercise or a lack of anything. It's actually a really, really good expression of the Kundalini on the body. There is nothing wrong with really strong. If you're sleeping with somebody, they could be in harm's way. I mean, literally. I have seen people in bed getting 3 feet of air. In 3 feet of total ejection from the mattress into the air, and then being slammed back down on their legs slamming and their arms waving violently and their head going back and forth, and it's just like it's actually quite wonderful to see. It's very exciting, especially if it's your spouse, I imagine. But you kind of want to give them full use of the bed. Definitely, if it's happening at night and if they're extremely violent. I have seen these violent kriyas, and they are not bad. They are just an indication of the power that Kundalini has, the power of grace as it courses itself through the body, and the level of response that the body has to that grace as it courses through the body. It's very, very wonderful. I mean, if you're having violent kriyas, well, I'm going to say congratulations. Congratulations and hallelujah for you, because that violent kriya is, and I just mean, we're talking, when we say violent kriyas, we're not talking about attacking anybody. We're talking about having very strong spastic movements, jerking movements, movements that would resemble a grand mal seizure, come upon a person while they're sleeping in bed. They're perfectly fine. There is no illness. They're doing great. And that's what I'm referring to as a violent kriya. Certainly not in response to, say, an emotional blowout, which could be another form of violent kriya, because the person has, very little emotional control, and they haven't been doing their refinement practices, and so therefore when they have a very difficult emotional situation come onto them, they're screaming at a person, they're screaming at a cop, they're screaming at a spouse or at a friend or at a stranger, and that can be far more damaging within a sociological environment. If the person is having the physical kriyas and they're violent and they're spastic and they're doing all the things that I just described they're doing, they're slamming themselves up and down from the bed, they're throwing the person on a floor and twisting them into a yogic pretzel. This is all good. And you don't want to resist those. Nothing is wrong. Everything is right. Far more is right with that situation than anything that could be wrong. And you just surrender to that. You let that occur. It's all good. It's all good. It's just very strange. People aren't used to seeing that, let alone experiencing that. So, yeah. It's all good, my dear.
Okay,
Next
excellent. Actually, Chrism, it's not so much a question, but maybe you could help for somebody who is having a very difficult time with physical symptoms. Now, not kriyas, pressures in the body, energy that's sometimes electrical shocks, sometimes like a magnetic force that is coming up through their bodies from the pelvis up through, right up into their bodies. And at the same time, they're feeling...
These are kriyas too. The electrical kriyas, they will throw you across the room. I've had them. They're great. I mean, they're really powerful. They're not damaging.
What about...
Yes?
Yes. It's not so much electrical kriyas, though, that I'm thinking of. It's more an electrical feeling. They're not kriyas. It's like, I'm not saying they're not kriyas, but they're not of the type you're speaking of. They're like an energy movement that doesn't throw them across the floor, and incredible pressure within their bodies. And at the same time, they're feeling incredibly emotional at the same time.
I would say these are. Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe they are kriyas, are they?
Yeah, they're kriyas. They're kriyas, and the kriyas are affecting the emotional body too. And their fear, the fear that's being generated in them, is also, giving them a level of response that would be seen as difficult or seen as an expanded level of anxiety and issue about it. Emotional kriyas, can coincide with physical kriyas. Electrical kriyas are a real deal, and they don't have to be 8,000 volts worth. They can be a steady stream. So can the magnetism. And this is the stuff that really destroys your computer. This is the stuff that will harm your computer, harm your phone, harm your watch, even your car batteries and the computer systems in your car, because the magnetic field that a person having Kundalini can be so strong that it will literally begin to short out programming in those areas. And as the programming or the software gets shorted out, so does the hardware get shorted out. Motherboards, goodbye, type of thing. And so, that is normal. That is kriya oriented, my dear.
And if a person feels this is agony, what can they do? If they're really distressed by it because it's painful, it feels like agony.
Agony.
I mean, it's like huge. And they're saying, what can they do? Yes, I'm surrendering, and this is going on and going on and going on.
Stand by. Well, they're not surrendering. They are resisting. Mm-hmm. They are resisting, and it's the resistance that is causing the pain. They're saying in their mind, I surrender, but their ego is going, I'm not surrendering, and it's that response that will cause the pain. Their higher mental functioning self can surrender till the cows come home, but if the ego doesn't, guess what? They're going to have pain.
how can they bring themselves into a position of, having the ego
devotion.
surrender? What can they
having devotion to the Kundalini, worshiping the Kundalini, giving control of their life to the Kundalini. And if they have a teacher, giving themselves to the teacher, giving themselves to the Kundalini and maybe a teacher that it has given them. Totally beginning to walk and live and talk and breathe and eat and sleep. Surrender to the Kundalini. Let there be no other agenda. No other agenda before that. And that will take care of that.
Okay. Yes. Okay, Chrism, thank you.
Just a second. Now, just along the lines of, chakra burnout and chakra healing, and even with this last person having the, these difficult levels of Kriya activation, I want you to know that Whole Foods has a certain kind of juice drink that I'm going to recommend for people. It's a mixture of watermelon juice and lemonade juice. And if you can get it, I want you to have it. Put it in the fridge. It's organic. And any of the people in the States that have Whole Foods, they can go over there and they can look that up. And that I've been partaking of that through all these hot days here, and it's very, very, very helpful, very nutritious. And I'm having some at the moment right now. So just an FYI about that. Do we have another question?
No, Chrism, that's it. I think, yeah.
Well, thank you.
That's it, Chrism. No more questions.
Thank you for collecting them.
You're very welcome.
And I want to thank
You're welcome.
Everybody for listening. Cole, Vincent, Mary, Karen's Corner, Helly, guests, and Alana Seeker. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and say a few things to those who may be talking with us in the future. For those of us that couldn't join today, I want you to know that you can get similar information, if not this exact show. You can go to Chrism.Kunalini on the YouTube network. You can go to Kundalini Awakening ! On the Google Plus network. You can go to Kundalini Awakening ! On the Facebook network, as well as Kundalini Awakening Systems, the number 1 on Facebook. Actually, the number 2, Kundalini Awakening Systems number 2 on Facebook. Kundalini Awakening Systems number 3 on Facebook. Kundalini Healing on Facebook, as well as Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at Yahoo Groups and Kundalini Healing on Yahoo Groups. I try to get out as many to as many different networks as I can, and if you have any network suggestions, please, you can contact me at K as in Kundalini Fire for all, and that's KFIREFORALL at yahoo.com. You can reach me there, and I will respond, unless you're a spammer, and then I won't. And really looking forward to meeting as many of you as possible. As Eileen so graciously announced, we'll be having a seminar in the Midwest, in the Twin Cities of St. Paul, Minnesota, and a little suburb there called Eagan. And Rosemary she is the organizer, and she can be reached at rosemaryg@usinternet.com. I believe that's what it was. You can rewind it, though. I want to thank Eileen for making those announcements. I would like to thank dearly my co-host, Santara Kundalini, from the Emerald Isle, which means, the island of Ireland, and from her new perch above the Atlantic Ocean festooned with sharks, where she can actually see the shark fins turning around as the tide comes in. I would like to thank you, dear Santara Kundalini, and your husband, John, and the entire O'Connor clan, the Kundalini kings of the O'Connor clan. I'd like to say thank you from the top and the bottom and the width of my heart for this radio program that helps so many. And so very, very, very big thanks to you, my dear.
You are welcome, Chrism, everybody.
Thank you. And let's see. So you can reach us in those various areas there. You can go to the website, KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com, And you can visit that website. You can read the information there. You can read the safety protocols, which I do recommend. The safety protocols there on KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com. That's all one word. And the one is actually the numeral 1. So KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com. You can also go to Chrism.Kundalini, and that's another website that is there for you to look into. And I really want to thank you all for listening to us in the future, and for listening right now on your computer. And we will see you next week at this time, at this place, for another conversation about your Kundalini awakening system or experience. See you then.